Lastly, a story that started in our studios tonight. The BBC has begun an inquiry into how 4 women demonstrators were able to get into the 6 o'clock television news studio and attempt to disrupt the start of tonight's programme. They were protesting against a new law, which comes into effect at midnight, stopping local councils from promoting homosexuality. Mike Smart reports.
It was clear to viewers from the start of the 6 o'clock news that something was wrong.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. In the House of Lords, a vote is taking place now on a challenge to the poll tax. Tory rebels have said that the tax...
Sue Lawley apologised and continued to broadcast. Out of vision, her co-presenter Nicholas Witchell and other BBC staff restrained the protesters. Outside the studio, one woman who'd handcuffed herself to camera cables was cut free.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Another and the piece of studio furniture she'd handcuffed herself to were parted in a corridor. Led away, the women repeated their protest.
Protesting about rights for lesbian and gay people.
The inquiry into how the women got into the studio is already underway.
Well, what happened this evening was intolerable. There'll be a proper inquiry and we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again on any of our news programmes. I do say that I think Sue Lawley and Nick Witchell behaved admirably in the circumstances, and I'm very glad that we continued with the broadcast and made sure that all our news went out.
With handcuffs still attached to the camera cable and the 6 o'clock news still on the air, the protesters were taken away by police.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Sue Lawley and Nicholas Witchell.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. In the House of Lords, a vote is taking place now on a challenge to the poll tax. Tory rebels have said that the tax is unfair and unpopular. Lord Whitelaw's told them they should not be confronting the elected chamber. We'll be going over to the House of Lords for the results. There are to be changes in the way nurses work and are trained, changes to stop them leaving the profession. Another prosecution involving undercover police and alleged football hooligans has collapsed. No evidence was offered. Also tonight, Glasnost gives us a glimpse inside the Soviet army. And with 1 week to go before the 4th summit, we have reports from Washington and Moscow on the preparations Mr. Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev are making for their meeting. And repairing the roads, why the cones signal a lot more chaos this summer. And I do apologise if you're hearing quite a lot of noise in this studio at the moment. I'm afraid that we have rather been invaded by some people who we hope to be removing very shortly. In the meantime...
Then for lesbian feminists, yeah, anything goes a bit more than it used to.